6 o'clock on Wednesday, the 30th of October 2019. Good evening and thank you for tuning in to the English edition of Ora News. My name is Alexandra, bringing you the only daily update of the local Albanian news translated into English. Along with the return to the negotiations of the maritime agreement between Tirana and Athens, clashes between Prime Minister Edi Rama and President Ilir Meta are also expected to resume. The Ionian Sea was part of the discussion at Tuesday's meeting between Edi Rama and his Greek counterpart, Mitsotakis. While the Prime Minister aims to reopen the agreement with the Greek government, he also must convince Ilir Meta to apply his signature in order to ratify any possible agreement. Confidential sources for RTV Ora suggest that communications between Edi Rama and Ilir Meta have not resulted in the President's willingness to give the green light, who believes focus should remain on getting the Constitutional Court functioning again before opening discussions on the sea issue. Another condition is the President's decision to give full force to the talks only to the Foreign Minister voted in by Parliament, that being Prime Minister Edi Rama himself and not the Acting Minister Gent Sakai. The final draft to be reached between the Greek and Albanian governments must be signed by the President and then ratified by the Albanian Parliament. Given that the Constitutional Court must also approve of the agreement, it is the attitude of Ilir Meta that fulfilling the Court's membership requirements bears a greater weight of importance as the next step in the process. Currently, the Court has only 2 members of the required 8 it needs to become operational, with 3 candidates at the stage where they are waiting to be elected by the President and the Parliament. In 2010, the Constitutional Court overturned the agreement reached with Albania and Greece in 2009 on the delimitation of their respective areas, which saw the continental shelf and other maritime areas belonging to Greece according to international law. Now, after 10 years, the situation is even worse, as there currently is no agreed-upon document between Athens and Tirana, the President's signature is unlikely to be provided, and the Albanian Constitutional Court is unable to perform its duties. The Central Election Commission will meet on Friday to decide whether or not to remove the mandate for the Mayor of Vora, Agim Kamaku. At a meeting scheduled to take place at 10 a.m, the Central Election Commission members will consider the prosecution's request, which, referring to Interpol's responses, has requested the dismissal of the elected Kamaku on June 30. Earlier, the Democratic Party expressed concern that the Central Election Commission was dragging on its review of the case. In a letter sent to this institution, the Democratic Party headquarters states that Interpol has confirmed that Agim Kamaku has kept the name Yorgo Toto in Greece and was banned in 2003 for counterfeiting banknotes. The statement even said that the mayor was fully aware that he had been wanted internationally, but did not disclose this information in the decriminalisation form. The Kaimaku case is not the only instance in which the Democratic Party is seeking the removal of a mandate as a result of non-declaration of punishments received or penal proceedings. Earlier, the Central Election Commission accepted the prosecutor's request to remove the MP mandate for Acif Rakipi and Gledian Rehovica. The case of Valdrin Pietri in Shkodra was also denounced for non-declarations, but in this instance, Pietri agreed to step down. In case of dismissal, Vora will be the second city in which a mayor has been overthrown since the June 30 voting. Meanwhile, a response is also awaited as to what the prosecution will seek in the case of Mark Babani of Vau Udeas. Democratic Party leader Lulzim Basha, after a meeting with the European Council delegation, has called on Prime Minister Edi Rama to reflect and to resolve the crisis facing the country. According to the Democratic leader, the only way out is snap elections. The opposition leader has stressed that it is time to make the right decision for the country by putting the country's interests before the political ones. Parliamentary Relations Minister Elisa Spiropali responded to Lulzim Basha, who said that the opposition had no time to lose to the opposition by stressing that electoral reform will pass within December. Lulzim Basha and his imaginary majority have to wait for the next election to return to Parliament, where they voluntarily left with their drums of imaginary victory. The government and our majority, voted to govern for 4 years, have many tasks to accomplish by the end of their mandate in respect to the promises made to the Albanian people. In December, we will vote on electoral reform according to OSCE ODIHR recommendations, said Spiropali. The Democratic General Secretary, Guzman Bardi, replied to Spiropali, Elisa Spiropali has to teach Edi Rama that electoral reform under German conditions does not resemble a customs beam, which she has lowered and lifted herself as she wishes. Electoral reform is not an issue on which you can pull the wool over the eyes of the Albanians or the West, who, along with the opposition, want to guarantee free and fair elections. Free voting puts an end to his stolen power, which has been acquired by crime and corruption, concluded Guzman Bardi. Albania is in a difficult situation, so the parties must dialogue to overcome the political crisis. The Socialist Movement for Integration Deputy Chair, Luan Rama, stressed that the Bundestag's conditions should be at the centre of politics for the good of the country and the citizens. Luan Rama described the failure to open negotiations as indicative of a lack of political will on the part of the government. Luan Rama also mentioned the hearing of the US nominee for ambassador to Tirana, Yuri Quim, who stated that one of the priorities of her work would be to resolve the political stalemate. He emphasised that these messages should be a reflection of the political class of the Albanians. SMI Deputy Chair Luan Rama strongly urged the political class to sit down for dialogue, to overcome the crisis and to fulfil the conditions of the Bundestag. Albanian businesses are unhappy with fiscal changes for 2020. The head of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Nikolin Jaka, stated that the draft that was distributed for consultation did not include addressing any of the emerging business problems facing the country. The mistake made in December 2018 to abolish the VAT on farmers has almost collapsed the entire agricultural and agro-processing system. On the other side, we have the construction industry suffering with an unconstitutional tax that is 3% on social housing, a tax that was never forecast to be, said Jaka. Jaka stressed that escalation of fines is positive, but the subjectivity of their imposition on businesses remains a problem. The penalties should be minimal and executable, not subjective and burdensome for the businesses, explained Jaka. In the meantime, the Albanian business is suspicious about the process of fiscalisation due to internet coverage, as many areas of the country have no signal. When the statistics show that internet coverage has reached over 95% of Albanian territory, then let the project that is launched be implemented, added Jaka. The head of the Chamber of Commerce's statements came after an event for the opening of the second edition of the Expo Medical Fair, which runs from October 31 to November 3. The event is attended by about 60 companies aiming to bring to the market what people really need: fast and free healthcare. Lending is a sector showing some positive performance for the Albanian economy. Bank of Albania data shows that 565.6 billion lek was provided in September, the highest amount so far this year. There has been an improvement in lending for both businesses and individuals. This situation has also been positively influenced by the fact that the European currency has been more stable. According to the Bank of Albania, the loan portfolio expanded by about 5 billion lek in September, and when compared to a year earlier, the growth equates to about 5.7%. The improvement of this situation is also thought to have been influenced by the decrease in the write-off rates of loans lost from balance sheets. Bank of Albania statistics show a positive increase in deposits, despite the fact that the Bank of Albania has decreased interest rates to a historic minimum. During September, deposits reached 1 trillion lek, increasing by 1.6 billion lek. Euro deposits are mainly those that have increased, while households appear to have continued to withdraw money from banks in lek due to almost negligible interest rates. And that's the news across the country today. Thank you for watching our English edition this evening, and be sure to join us again every Monday to Saturday at 6 p.m. for the latest news from Albania. Once again, on behalf of Ora News, thank you and good night.